So 5 of the 7 suspects arrested in connection with the murder of rapper AKA and his friend Tebello Tibz Motsoane are expected to appear in the Durban Magistrate Court this morning. They're facing a number of charges, including murder. The pair were gunned down on Durban's popular Florida Road in February last year. This was shortly after leaving a restaurant. But for more on this, we're joined by legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala. Mpumelelo, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think this is certainly a conversation that South Africans will be looking for analysis on for a long time to come. But I think one of the big talking points, of course, has been really sort of weighing up the work that has been done by law enforcement authorities and investigators in the matter. A lot of them lauded, the likes of Mkhwanazi lauded over the work they've done. I mean, some of the pick-up points that you find, and is this a moment where South African law enforcement has done well for their reputation?
Good morning to you and also to your viewers. Definitely, yes. I think now what they are doing today is handing over the baton to the prosecuting team to say NPA is over to you. Now we've done our work in terms of the investigations. We've been very meticulous in the manner in which we've arrested this particular individuals, taking into account the rights that have accrued to them as per the Constitution. Hence, you find that the commissioner would say they were arrested for other things while the investigations were going on, sort of to contain them so that they don't run away. And they're certainly going to come in their bail applications if they are going to apply for bail in the manner of arrest that just came about. And I'm pretty sure the state is going to oppose bail if they do apply for one. But I think congratulations must be sent to the SAPS for now to say at least you've been able to identify, you've collected the evidence with people that can now be identified. Now, the real issue will be on the evidence that you've collected. What is the quality and the quantity of it? Can it be able to come back with a conviction for all of the accused that are there?
Yeah, that's essentially the question I was going to come to next, right? Just to the bits and pieces that we've already heard from that press briefing, very, very telling that we now know that AKA was tracked from the moment he arrived at King Shaka Airport. I mean, just those bits and pieces, do they give you confidence that law enforcement was able to give us a clean trail of evidence without it being tampered with? I mean, that's always going to be an issue, certainly something that's come up even in the Senzo Meyiwa trial.
I think that more details of that are going to come up within the trial, especially how then when you've arrested that individual, what are the sort of tactics that you use to do your investigations, your interrogation things and the tactics that you've utilized. Are they above the law? The manner in which you've collected evidence, is it also above the law? The manner in which you've swept the crime scene, is it in such an instance in which the defense can poke holes on it? What it does, though, is tells you that on the ground level, the ground players or the tools that were utilized to do this particular matter have been investigated properly. What is a bit missing, though, and you've heard from the press conference that they had other days to say, well, we don't really know the motive or who's the real person who are standing to benefit from all of this. Right. Well, there are instances in which a person would be killed for no apparent reason, but in this case, why target AKA? Why target the other individual that was killed? What is it that you stand to benefit from all of this? I think that's the most important question. And if you are not able to solve that, yes, it does make your case easy to prove in terms of the bad players and the person that pulled the trigger. But I still South Africans and even the court would want to know what is the motive behind all of this, who stood to gain the most, and what did they gain after they killed AKA.
Yeah, of course, there's a contentious issue of how much the alleged killers would have been paid in this contract killing of rapper AKA, and the number's been thrown about on social media, and I'm not going to engage on that. But does this matter going into the trial? Because certainly once you start looking at the number, you're talking about just how much whoever it is that ordered the hit is able to pay.
And it also goes back to the process of saying, well, if you are willing to pay that amount of money, it means it must have meant a lot that AKA is not alive today. So what was the motive? What is it that you are trying to prevent from coming out? What hindrance was he in your life to such an extent that you would order that he be killed? And I think the really hard work of the police, or the second part of their activities or their duty, would be to say, let's find the kingpin in all of this. Let's find the person who stood to benefit the most and make sure that they're brought to book. They are just as guilty as the person that pulled the trigger. And you do have in South Africa something which is called the doctrine of common purpose, where when you go to court, you say, even though you are not the trigger puller, because you are part and parcel, your mind is of a nature that you wanted to carry out this crime, we are going to punish you just as much. Then the sentence in which you are going to get is going to be similar to that person that was the foot soldier, and they pulled the trigger. So let's put you into one bandwagon and make sure that you are punished in the same way.
Yeah, okay. So let's get into this, Mpumelelo, because what happens a lot of the time is South Africans are now expecting to see a long, drawn-out trial. Let's talk about what time frames you're looking at specifically, because you've got two suspects that are still in Eswatini. I mean, how does that bring about delays in the pace and speed at which the Motsoane and Forbes family sees justice?
I think let's start today with the first appearance. Two pieces of legislation are crucial. Firstly, the Constitution under Section 35. It says to them you must appear in court within 48 hours. Then secondly, you are entitled to be released on bail if the interest of justice so dictates so. And that is going to be determined by the Criminal Procedure Act, basically like a manual of saying how to run criminal matters. Section 60 on that one pertains to bail. I do foresee the state coming today and saying to the court, well, we have arrested these individuals. There are other two individuals that are missing. Please give us at least 7 days so that we're able to consider and prepare for the bail application that may come. This is definitely going to be a crime which is going to fall under or higher than Schedule 6, meaning that whenever a person is applying for bail, they need to provide exceptional circumstances of why should he is released on bail. Yeah. And once at the stage you've been given that opportunity to go and do our investigations, certainly part of the things which are going to come about when the application is being made is going to say, there are other individuals that are missing. We fear that they are going to go and alert them. We fear that they're going to go and tamper with evidence, intimidate witnesses. On that basis, the individuals that are in the box today, they should not be released. But I do not think that an application for bail will be applied for today, and anyone is going to be released today, unless the state is of the opinion that, well, we do not think that you played a particular role or a very significant role in this matter. It's okay if you release your bail. But I don't think all of them are going to be released on bail today. Maybe in 7 days' time, a new bail application is going to come about. Okay.
And of course, I will note that and then perhaps chat with you in a week's time and see if you were correct in some of your throw forwards there, Mpumelelo. Yesterday when we started the day, we had 6 suspects. By the end of the day, we knew there were 7. Do you think that there'll be more?
Definitely. I think that the police will not stop up until they find the kingpin. I think I think it was Mr. Tebello who called him Umtitiel. That's the person who I think even most South Africans will have interest in to say, what is it that you do to benefit? Please tell us your plan. Was this a contract killing? Did you then hand over subcontracted killing to somebody else? How is it that they masterminded and also the individuals that were them? The police, when they were explaining in the press conference, they seemed to have a very clear story as to the processes and the procedures that were followed, the individuals that were used, and even the accessories to the crime that are there. And I think they've done a bit of a good job when it comes to investigating the matter, but I stand to be corrected. Where I'll be able to stand with absolute authority to say to the police, you've done a great job, is when the evidence they've collected goes to court, is tested, and suffices the sifting process of the court, and it is able to make sure that they are coming back with the conviction of the accused that have been identified. Okay,
I'm going to ask you 2 tough questions before I let you go, and this is just for me to put you on the spot, Mpumelelo, if you'll allow me to. The first one would be lessons that you think we've learned from the Senzo Mayiwa trial. And I know that it's been said over and over again that the 2 cases really can't be compared, but very difficult for South Africans to do so because of how profile these matters are. So the lessons that we've learned from the Senzo Mayiwa trial and what we want to see really exercised in this matter with AKA and Motsoane. And then the second question being, if you were a legal representative either for or against the suspects, which team would you want to be on? Essentially, I'm asking for, your sense of the confidence of, where you think this trial could end.
Well, I'm a defense attorney by profession, so I'd rather be in the defense side because I know how to navigate it better and not for the state. But it would also depend in the manner in which the investigations have gone about. If they've been done so meticulously, then it makes it difficult to represent that individual. But if you're able to poke holes in that investigations and things that have not been complied with by the authorities, in this case the police, then it's easier to come back with a not guilty verdict. On the lesson that you have learned, it matters how the matter is investigated, and I think the police have learned their lesson right now. The manner even they were explaining it in the press conference gives you an idea that definitely they've learned their lesson.
It matters how the issue was investigated, and we'll leave it there, Mpumelelo. We really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Mpumelelo Zikalala, legal analyst there, speaking to us as we throw forward to the 5 of the 7 suspects arrested in the murder of AKA and Tibz appearing at the Durban Magistrate's Court today. Let's